Welcome everybody to the Digital Tech Cumbria webinar on Facebook. I will now hand over to Liam, who will go through all things Facebook with you. And I hope you have a good session. We're here for about an hour and a half, so lots of questions, please, and enjoy. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today. I am happy for you to entirely, whatever you want to do. If you want to unmute yourself to ask a question, feel free to do that. If you are shy, you can then throw something into the chat box. I've got the chat box open down here so I can see anybody putting anything into the chat as well. It would be useful for me just knowing kind of what kind of businesses that you are that are kind of attending today. So what I might do is I might kind of go through everybody just to ask you to do a very quick intro on what you do. If your microphone isn't working, or whether if you don't want to do that out loud, then if you want to put that into the chat now, then I'll just read yours out to everybody else. I know sometimes people have microphone issues. So in terms of me, my name, excuse me, is Liam Lally. I've been doing these workshops, or these kind of workshops, since about, excuse me, frog in the throat, 2010. So getting on for best part of 11 years now. I think we were one of the first ones to be talking about Twitter before Twitter was a thing. For me, in terms of these interactions, the good thing about not having the right presentation up is most of this is going to be spent actually physically on Facebook, because I think it's easier to see what's going on rather than just look at some slides, and then that way you can ask any questions that you want as we're going through. My background is digital marketing. That's what we do kind of day in and day out. So we're not just here to kind of theorize about this. This is kind of our day-to-day job as well. Right. So if I could start with, just check we've only got one of each. If I could start with Rachel, just to do me a quick intro, Rachel, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm Rachel Putnam. I own Parkgate Farm Holidays, which is a small holiday park in the Western Lakes. Just got 5 static caravans and a holiday cottage at the moment, but we're getting some glamping pods and a small campsite next year to build on that. So yeah, looking at the best way of marketing ourselves on social media, and I'm not very good at it.
And do you have you got a Facebook page at the moment?
We do, yes. Yeah, I've had it for a while and I've been a bit sporadic on it. I've been trying to put a few more posts on there just lately. But yeah, any information I can get to improve on that and to help. What I find I can't get is many followers.
Right, okay.
I'm doing something wrong.
What I might do, whilst everybody's talking, I might actually search out your Facebook pages, see how easy they are to find initially. So Parkgate Farm Holidays. Okay, so I'm assuming that's you.
That's us, yeah.
Okay, cool, perfect. Right, let me duplicate that for the next one. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll just have a quick look around what your page is kind of doing and possibly saying, and that way we can kind of learn as we go through. As you say, we'll talk about the sporadic nature, etc. as well.
Largely my doing.
That's fine. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you, Rachel. Next up, I've got Jeff, please.
Oh, hi, I'm Jeff Wall. I run a company called Seawood Candle Store. We make home fragrance products down here in Barrow in Furness. I've been in the business of the candle business for about 20 odd years now. I do consultancy. We sell candle supplies to business. So we have Seawood Candle Store as a Facebook page. I have been using the Facebook business suite.
Yeah.
But I get a little bit lost in there as to
you and me both.
Yeah. So one of the things that gets me really is we generally tend to post on Instagram and click the button to send it over to Facebook. I'm trying to work out if that's the best thing to do. I'm not. Yeah. Rachel mentioned about followers there. We focus more on followers on Instagram than on Facebook, but if we're supposed to be focusing on followers on both, then I'd like to understand a bit more about how we can get more sort of interactivity with Facebook.
Okay, what was the first part of your candle store name, Jeff?
Cera, C-E-R-A.
Okay, perfect. Pages.
That's us.
That's you. Perfect. Thank you very much. Right, we'll have a look at that in a second. That's great. Thank you, Jeff. And we'll go through some of those questions that you had as well.
Okay,
as we're
thanks.
going through. Okay, next up I have Rebecca, please.
Hi, I'm hiding away because I'm full of cold, sorry. So yeah, I work for a company called Professional Help, and we deliver counselling and bereavement care services and training services to businesses. We used to be B2C, but we've now completely gone B2B, and just looking to utilise Facebook as much as we can, really, and also trying to sort of create engaging content on there as well. So any ideas on that would be really helpful. Yeah, and it's not so much about the likes, it's more about getting engagement on the posts and spreading sort of brand awareness for it, really.
And is that your Facebook page?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, we are going through a rebrand at the moment, so everything's going to be updated in the next few weeks, you know, so that's exciting for us. So yeah,
perfect.
That's the one.
That's lovely. Thank you, Rebecca. That's great. Next up, I have Valentina. Don't know if you heard that, Valentina, or if you're on mute, but I can't hear. If you're talking, I can't hear you at the moment. Okay, that's fine. Right, okay, so let's have a look. Yeah, that's fine. So camera and microphone not working. Company is working as a real estate company, finding it hard to distinguish among competitors. Facebook page is estate partners. So let's find that. Estate partners. Okay, let's try. Let's just put a space between those. Sure, that's, is that you, or is that yours, Valentina, or not? Can't really tell. No, okay, right. Just try typing that in there then. So state. That definitely isn't you, I don't think. Right, okay. Okay, so I'm struggling to find that at the moment. If you want, okay.
It's attached to the link there.
Yeah, just found it. So select all. Ooh, no. Select all selects literally everything everybody said so far. So copy that. Let's try that again. Right, okay, so that's the one that's come through, so that's fine. So thank you for that, Valentina. Next up, okay, perfect. Next up then, I will go with Naomi, please.
Hi.
Hi, Naomi.
Hi, so I'm Naomi and I'm in Sydney, Australia, funnily enough. So if I drop out, it's because it's like 9:30 at night, so I'm pretty tired. Anyway, I run Amari Creators, which started off selling handmade jewelry, but we're sort of launching into a few newer things. Have not really used Facebook at all. I have the page, but I don't know that I've ever posted on it. But our big sort of catch is that like most of our profits go towards Lifeline, which is Australia's suicide prevention line. So for me, it's not necessarily about like making huge profits. It's about awareness and education that goes alongside that. So yeah, looking to branch into Facebook because the TikTok for me has been great, but haven't really used Facebook as much. Yeah.
Okay, and what's your Facebook page name?
Omari, Omari, creative. I have a feeling it's one word on Facebook. I'm not sure.
Okay, so let's see if we can find that one. Just a sec.
Oh yeah, that's it.
There we go. Perfect.
Have I done anything on it at all?
You are loved
yeah.
on the March 17th, which is good. I like
There
that.
you go.
Thank you.
That's
Lovely.
probably just a tester.
Thanks, Naomi. That's great.
Cheers.
Okay, who have we got left? Catherine, please. Oh, although I think she's disappeared. I'll tell you what, can I go with Barbara then next? Barbara, can I just come in?
Hello. Hello. Apologies for being late. I couldn't get the link. Sorry about that. Missed the
It's all right.
beginning.
Don't worry.
My company's called All Day Bags.
Okay. And how are you using Facebook regularly at the moment?
Yes, that's me.
Okay. That's you. Perfect. And so just All Day Bags, beautiful, eco-friendly. So do you what's the word? Do you kind of order these in and then sell these on? Is that kind of?
No, I make them myself.
You make them, right? Okay. Cool. Okay, right. That's lovely. That's perfect. Thank you for that, Barbara. And then we've got Catherine, please.
Hello.
Hi, Catherine.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Good. Well, I'm sort of I've used Facebook a little bit to promote Thornbank Farms, but really I've set up a glamping site, and I also have holiday cottages. So it's Harebeck Holidays that I'm sort of wanting information and help with. How often to post, what to post. Well, I do post odd things, but not a lot.
Right.
And it's just I've read things about Facebook changing and that sort of thing, but I don't know what it's changing from or to.
Okay.
and hoping to be enlightened.
Right, no problem. Okay, we'll hopefully try and answer that for you. Right, I think that's everybody. Let me just expand that, make sure there's nobody hiding. No, I think that's everybody. If I've forgotten you, do speak up now, but I'm pretty sure that that's everybody done. Okay, so thank you all for the introduction. I just think it's always it's worthwhile for me understanding what it is that you do, because then if there's anything that I can think of as we're going through today, I can kind of mention it. And it's also quite interesting trying to see how easy it is to find your Facebook pages. So as one of the reasons I was kind of just asking you some brief information was, as a user, if somebody was searching for you, how easy is it for them to find your Facebook page? And obviously we saw what some of the issues we're having around that estate page. Now I get that sometimes you will hand out a business card and it will be on there and people will be able to find it. But it kind of just gives you an idea as to the ease or not ease of being able to do that. Now there is a chance that because I'm assuming, Valentina, that you are, I'm assuming anyway, that you are potentially, are you based in Italy? Just based on the URL of the kind of Facebook page. So I'm assuming you are, and that might have been part of the issue of finding it, was just because even though Facebook is global, it will still try to localize my searches when I'm doing a reasonably generic search at that point. So first things that I want to kind of cover before we go into Facebook is, and you might hear me say this on some of the others if you come on any of the others, but I think there are essentially 6 pillars of using social media in general. So not just Facebook, this applies to Twitter, it applies to TikTok, it applies to LinkedIn and Instagram and some of the others. So and one of the things we've got to be a little bit careful of as businesses is that we don't just focus on one of those things. Because if we focus on just one of those things, which most businesses tend to do, and that is sales, then to be honest with you, we've kind of missed the point, in that this is called social media, and the clue's in title, in that you have to be thinking about ways of being sociable on the platform. If everything you do is just a sales pitch, regardless of how it's kind of flowered up, then it's a sales pitch. And if it shows up in my newsfeed, and we'll come on about what newsfeeds are and how all those work in a second. So for me, the 6 pillars of social media, the first one is awareness. So if you think about somebody's journey towards becoming a customer of yours, they don't know you exist. Then they find out that you exist through awareness. Now that could be a Facebook page, that could be a Facebook post, that could be a newspaper advert, that if they still exist, that could be a brochure, it could be a sign on your front door, it could be a sign on the outside of your estate or your buildings. You might advertise on other websites. So if you're holidays, you might be on some of the holiday websites. You might do Google ads, you might do Bing ads. So you might do, can't do email marketing necessarily to a cold audience, but somehow people come across you, and that's the first part of their journey towards becoming a customer. After you have got their attention, after you have kind of created that awareness, then a few less of those people will now go and start to look at what it is that you do, and some of those will become interested in the products or services that you're providing as businesses. Of those that go through and start to be interested, a few less will then go through and make a consideration to purchase, and then a few less will go through and actually physically make a purchase. Beyond making a purchase, you will have some that will then become advocates and give you reviews of your business, and you'll have some that will go on and refer you on to other people. And that's kind of, and there'll be a loyalty kind of element in there. Now, loyalty for some of you will be easier than some of the others, but generally, we've got to be careful that we don't just look at social media as the first part of that customer journey, but we also think about how we could do something on the second part of that particular journey. So retaining customers, building loyalty with customers, and hopefully getting them to refer us on, because we know if we get referred on, then people already have an element of trust because of the relationship with the person that's referred them on. And you only have to look at some of the local Facebook groups, you've probably all seen them, where people will go in and just make a request. So they'll turn around and say, does anybody know an electrician? Anybody know somebody that can fit some shelves? And that's them trusting the platform and the people on the platform, more importantly, to give them some information. And then they, as adults, will make their mind up as to whether that recommendation sounds correct, and then they'll reach out to the person that has been recommended. And generally, what tends to happen is maybe 4 or 5 people recommend the same person, and in exactly the same way as we are influenced by reviews on Amazon or eBay or your Facebook page or wherever there's kind of reviews or testimonials, that will influence us, because we're kind of conditioned now to look out for those reviews. Pretty much everything we do online has some kind of review in some shape or form. So we'll talk about reviews a little bit later on as well. So first up is brand awareness. Then we have customer service. So we want to consider using these platforms as an extension to customer service. So don't just see them as a sales platform, see them as a way of not only attracting people, getting them through that kind of know, like, and trust stage of their journey, but then using it to allow people to get in touch. You can see there's a learn more. There's a learn more tab here, although that looks like that's going to go off to a. It looks like that's going to go off to a website, I think. But you've also got the message button down here, so that allows me to talk directly to a Facebook page. And I don't know if you all get Facebook messages through. If you're not getting many Facebook messages through, I would highly recommend that you try to encourage people to reach out to you through Facebook Messenger. And the reason I would do that is because it's GDPR proof, in that the data is Facebook's, so therefore you're accessing that data. So you don't have to worry about kind of getting back in touch with people. If they've started a conversation with you, you can reopen that conversation at any time that it feels kind of right to do that. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later on. Next up, we've got reputation management. So I can see some of you do have reviews on your Facebook pages, and therefore that's something that you want to try to keep on top of. So we can see the Parkgate Holiday Farm has got 12 reviews. It's got 5 stars out of 5. So what I would say with that one is the only thing to consider with your Facebook reviews, and I'd be very happy with 5 out of 5. One thing that I always look for, and I think people look for, is if you've got 12 reviews as a holiday park, does that mean you've only had 12 people that have turned up to the holiday park? And the reality is, no, you've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And if you don't go out of your way to try and encourage them to leave those reviews on your Facebook page, people just won't do it. It's not kind of, we're not conditioned to kind of leave reviews very often unless somebody goes out of their way to ask us to do that. So that could be some way of improving that, because I do think over time, when people maybe go to Facebook and do a search for things like Holiday Farm or something like that, I think Facebook will begin to use, and it kind of does a little bit already, but I think Facebook will begin to use things like ratings and number of ratings as a way to say who we're going to show at the top, who we're going to show at the bottom, because that's kind of an easy way for it to differentiate between different holiday pages at that point. So that is reputation management. The other thing with reputation management, it's not quite as what's the word? It's not quite as risky on Facebook, because Facebook is actually quite a private platform. From a personal level, you can decide who you choose to share content with. So if I've had a great time at Parkgate Farm Holidays, and I go onto my own Facebook account personally, and I say, oh, I had a great holiday here, if I don't tag you in, you've got no idea that I'm talking positively about your business. And equally, if I'm complaining, then you've got no idea that I'm complaining either. So the reason I mention that now is because when we look at some of the other platforms later on, they're a little bit more open, and therefore we've got to maybe listen out a little bit more to make sure that nobody is saying anything positive or negative about our business on those platforms. Here, it's very difficult to manage, simply because you'd never see it if people have got their personal profiles set to only share with friends. But what we can do from a positive point of view is we can ask people to leave us recommendations.
Liam?
Can I ask about tagging, please?
You can,
Sorry,
Bob.
Jeff.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go on.
Jeff, do you want to go first?
No, you go ahead. I'll wait. It's fine.
Okay. Sometimes I'm not sure how you tag people or what it consists of. I use hashtags a lot, but sometimes when I'm looking to tag somebody, that isn't always available, and I don't quite know how to do that.
Okay, so a couple of things with tagging. Let me just open another page for a second. Excuse me. Okay, so as a user, so this is me as a personal profile. If I am writing somebody and then I do the @ symbol, and then I start to type in the one that I want to tag. Oops.
Yeah.
Then hopefully, I think did I get that right? I probably got your
PGF.
F. Sorry, I even copied it and still got it wrong. PGF for Freddy Holidays, is it? Is that right? There we go.
Yeah, that's right.
So what that does now is, if I posted that, Rachel would get a notification to say somebody has tagged your page.
Oh,
And
I see.
And what that does for, so if you can see my settings say friends, so I don't share beyond friends on Facebook. I don't do any kind of public post as an individual person. I tend to have it fairly restricted to friends. But if I tag Rachel's business into here, a couple of things happen. A, she gets notified, and B, everybody else that sees this post who's one of my friends, this would become a clickable link. So they would they would be able to click straight through to that Facebook page and go and visit that Facebook page.
So as well as asking people to do reviews, you could say, would you mind leaving us a review or tagging us?
Absolutely, yeah, or feel free to get, I mean, I'd still push for the review, because that gives you longevity to the page, because that review pretty much stays there for forever. But if they can talk positively about you on their Facebook, and often some people do, so things like people taking photos whilst they're there, you could encourage people to take photos, and if they're putting them on Facebook, to tag you in, tell them what your Facebook page is to tag you in, and that way they become your salesperson, because they've got a beautiful view, they take a picture of it, they tag your Facebook page in, and everybody else goes, where are you staying? That looks fantastic. So that's from Barbara, that's from a personal level, being able to tag either people or pages. So all I'm doing is I'm starting off with the @ symbol. So if I wanted to tag in my cousin, I'd be able to tag in my cousin, and you can see it kind of puts their full name into there as well. As a business, it's harder to do. So businesses can often tag other businesses, but you very, very rarely can tag individual people. And part of the reason for that is because if businesses were allowed to tag other people, we'd all be getting a gazillion notifications through on our personal profiles, because all businesses do is kind of try and sell. And therefore, before you know it, everybody's getting tagged in. So it works from a personal to everybody basis, but it doesn't necessarily work from a business to personal basis at that point. Okay, so
what I'm trying to do is raise awareness of people like Harris Tweed, that I use their fabric, and Linton Tweed, and I don't always put I think I do that sometimes, put the @ symbol on it, but not always, and I'm not sure if it makes any difference. No, not Harris Tweed. Harris Tweed Authority, that one. Yeah,
so it looks like they can be tagged. So there is a setting on Facebook business pages where you can actually turn off tagging. So you sometimes find some of the big brands will just turn it off, otherwise everybody's trying to tag them in. By the looks of this one, I think I am posting as an individual, so I'd have to test it as a business, but it looks like I should be able to tag Harris Tweed Authority in. And again, that was just starting with the @ symbol, starting to type out what you think it is, and then seeing kind of what's down here and what's available, and then tagging those in. All right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
No worries. Jeff, fire away with your question.
Yeah, if you go back to Parkgate page, you see the Ask Parkgate Farm Holidays.
Yeah.
From a customer service point of view, I think that's really good. How do you create that?
So within your page, you can create what are called automated responses. So you add in frequently asked questions, and then you add in the answer. And then what should happen, hopefully, is if I click on ask, what we should see is that goes through, and does that not automatically reply then? Do you have to go in and reply that one?
No, I've just got a message from you. I have to then respond.
Fine.
It's a messenger ask, I think.
Yeah, so it will always go through onto Messenger, and I would encourage you to try and get people to use Messenger as often as possible. One thing that you can do within Messenger is you can actually start to create automated responses as well. So where you've got something that says, where are you located? Your location's never going to change. So instead of having to go in and do the reply, which is what Rachel will have to do, this could automatically reply. So it could turn around and go, where are you located? and then it goes back with a nice bit of information about where that is located. So it's worth exploring the asking ability through Messenger, but also the automation side of what you can and can't set up. So as an example, my wife's got a little Facebook page, and what she will do is she's just got an automated response because most of the time she's working. So if you send her a message, it turns around and says, thanks for the message, I'll come back to you as soon as I can. And the great thing with that is when people send messages through, even if they don't get an immediate response, but they get some response, they know that you've kind of received that at that point. So
Can I
they
just
don't,
ask, did you get one of those automated responses from me?
not at the moment, no.
Ooh, you should have done.
let me, I'll just double check. I
Check up
don't
on
think so. Let me just check on my phone just to make sure. Yeah, I don't think so.
Certainly if somebody messages me through Messenger, they do, but that should be the same, you'd have thought, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it should be. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, so not at the moment.
I'll check.
Okay, no worries.
So just going back to the page again.
Yeah.
So how do you create the section itself then? If that doesn't do automated responses, and you can make it do automated responses, how do you create Ask Parkgate Family Holidays, that section there?
This section here.
Yeah.
So that's just within your business page setting. There's lots of additional things that you can add in, and therefore it's what I would suggest you do is go through that in detail. So often with Facebook pages, we kind of set it up on the surface, but we don't go into the settings side. And I would go through the settings side and see what's available for you to be able to set up. You should have this Ask Messenger side to be able to put these in, and then that's essentially creating then a frequently asked questions part for your business.
Does it automatically put it onto your front page?
It will do, yeah.
Right, okay, thanks.
Yeah. I'm not sure, Rachel, can you prioritize the order of this, or has Facebook done that?
I think Facebook's done that.
Yeah.
I didn't set up the page originally. The chap who had done our web design a few years ago set up the Facebook page with all the basics on. I've kind of tweaked it a bit as it's gone along, and I've put our new logo at the top, but I've not really done anything on it.
Okay.
Apart from post.
Yeah, so certainly if you go into the settings side, Jeff, and have a look around in there, you'll see lots of options. And it'll either be in the main settings or it will be in the Messenger settings for your business. Let me just see if I can find, just bear with me a sec. I'm just going to see if I can. I need to try and switch to. Yeah, so there's this, you've got like a Messenger tools section that you can go through and start adding what are called conversation starters. So that's the ask with, so you can go through and then, let me just have a quick look to see. If not, I better not click too much on this or else wife's going to kill me. Because I haven't been into this for ages. Yeah, so you've got these, once you're into this section, you've got these automated responses. So you can turn around. So at the moment, she's just got one that says, thank you for the message. It pulls through the first name who sent that through. I'll get back to you as soon as you can. So it takes a little bit of doing, but you've got this frequently asked questions one. So you've got a question and a responses. So maximum of 4 frequently asked questions. So you type in where are you based, and then you would type in the response, and that would automatically send that response through at that point.
Brilliant.
All right.
Just
Okay.
before we move off reputation management, talking about reviews and asking customers for reviews, is there I don't know how best to ask them. How would you best, after the holiday, would you email them? Would you send them a message on, well, you wouldn't necessarily know their Facebook contact details. I mean, is it better to email them with a link that they can click on to then give a Facebook? Because with a link, it makes it more easy for them, rather than them having to find a Facebook page, then having to find the bit where they have to give the review. And, you know, you just want to make it as simple as possible for the customer to leave that review.
So if it was me, I would imagine you might have things like guest books that you get people to fill in before they go. So as part of that guest book, I'd have something that kind of says, before you go, would you mind leaving us a review on Facebook? And then that way, because the great thing is they don't have to have left to leave the review. You'd rather them leave the review either on the last day or even whilst they're still there.
Yeah.
And then that way, that's kind of easier to do.
Yeah.
So that would be my first one that I would do. I would have something printed out that had that URL at the top. So that's the direct link that would take a user. So if I copy that, and then if I just paste that in as a new one, just to show you. So if you'd put this out, I would click on that and I should land on the review page, ready to do your review at that point. So I would generally get that printed out, maybe onto like a reviewers on Facebook business card. So get one of these Vistaprint things that you get like a gazillion cards for $5, and it would just have we'd love your feedback, or we'd love your reviews, and then on the reverse it'd have the actual URL you want them to leave it at that point.
And presumably you could do that for Facebook, and then you could Instagram or any other medium that you use. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think from a review point of view, I think that at the moment the two reviews I would pay the most attention to are Facebook reviews and beyond the scope of today, but the Google My Business listings that are out there as well, because again, that will decide and determine where you're going to show up. When somebody does a search on Google for holiday farm in Lake District, you want to try and increase your chances, and the more reviews you're getting, the more you're getting onto Google's radar as well. So we often try and say to people, try and double up with these. So if somebody does leave you a review, don't be afraid to turn around and say, hi Liam, really appreciate that review you've left us on Facebook. You couldn't do us a massive favor, could you? Because we're struggling on Google My Business with reviews. Would you be able to leave us a review there as well? If you can't, don't worry, it's fine, but it really kind of, and because people have been and enjoyed themselves, then they're much more likely to just click on a link, go and leave a review, and that's job done. And we do that a lot with our clients and getting them to do that, because if you ask, people will often do. Most of the time we don't get reviews just purely because we don't ask, and it's not this inbuilt thing. They don't really get reminders sent from Facebook saying, why don't you review the Facebook page? The only people that do that are the business owners that kind of go through and ask. So I would suggest doing that. And so whilst they're there would be number one. Once they've gone, then a follow-up email with a link would be kind of the second one that I would do at that point. All right. Okay, so we were on reputation management. So let's not hover over that, or else something weird will pop up. The next one that we've got then is sales. So absolutely, we do want to get sales from Facebook, but it shouldn't be the be all and end all of using Facebook. If it is, it's unlikely to work because of the way people use Facebook. And I think one thing that we do badly as businesses on all of social media is we tend to forget why people are on the platform in the first place. And so we now crowbar ourselves into somebody's newsfeed and wonder why our posts are getting no reactions or one like, and that's it. So we've got to be careful of it just being an outright sales pitch, and trying to think about ways of it being either useful or inspiring or motivational or whatever that person is on that platform for, you've kind of got to go with the content that's going to capture their attention at that point. Number 5 is, what's number 5? We've got collaboration. So collaborating with other businesses who are trying to reach the same audience of you. So something like Parkgate Farm Holidays is unlikely to partner with another farm holidays because you're probably competitors. However, you might think about the stuff that people might do once they're on holiday, and therefore you might collaborate with some of those other kind of businesses to each of you helping each other out. So if they post something, you share it on your page, and if you post something, you share it on they share it on their page. Sorry. So that would be a kind of a collaborative effort at that point, where you have an end user that you're trying to reach, but you're not necessarily direct competitors at that point. And that just takes a bit. I mean, you'll know your area better than I do, and so you will know what are the good places. So if there's a good pub near Parkgate Farm Holidays, don't be afraid to share their content on your page when you know that it's a good pub, and therefore it's going to be useful for anybody that would be visiting your holiday farms at that point. And then the last one, I can't remember what comes after sales without looking, so I'll just have to leave that for now. Collaboration. I think it was actually just building that kind of loyalty. So again, one thing that some of you will find easier to do than others, but one thing that is very popular at the moment on Facebook are Facebook groups. So for Facebook groups, I would expect something like, let's have a think of who you've got. So Facebook groups, possibly Amari Creative, not sure about estate partners, I'd have to have a think about that. Most definitely professional help would benefit from a Facebook group if you don't have a Facebook group. Everybody, candle store, possibly. I mean, to be fair, I think Facebook groups are great for everybody, but I'm just trying to think about these ones. And the reason why the Facebook group is very popular is it's usually a group of people around a specific topic or location. So you only have to look at the buy it, sell it groups and how many there are now that have been created by individuals on Facebook, and they are trusted by those people that are in those groups. So I live in a little village in outside of Lincoln. I don't know what our population levels are, but our Facebook local buy it, sell it group has definitely got more people in it than actually live in our kind of village. So you can see that obviously the other people outside get to join. What I like about Facebook groups, and particularly for holiday places, is you could almost use this as a more interactive guest book for people. So when people book to come and stay with you, you could invite them to join your private Facebook group, and in that Facebook group they get to ask questions. You share content into that group that they might find interesting, and other people who are going on holiday or have been on holiday can also post into that group. And what it becomes is almost like this VIP area where they can find out. I always think the best content from any of the holiday places is your guest book, because your guest book is coming from the mouth of your customers and it's telling you all of the best places to go and eat, all of the best beaches to go and see, all of the best parks to go and visit, all of the best walks to go do with your dog. That's what people do. They don't just say this was lovely. They often say what they did whilst they were there. And that content is invaluable from trying to then attract more people to your holiday places. Therefore, having a Facebook group where they can do that even more visually, and when they've been, You don't have to kick them out of the group. They will either leave or they will stay in that group. And if they stay in that group and they keep seeing posts by people saying we're having a great time, we've taken this beautiful weekend picture, it maybe brings them back. It maybe puts you back onto their radar where they think, oh God, do you remember when we went there? Wasn't it great? Why don't we book again next year? So a Facebook group is a separate entity that lives on Facebook. It has its own identity, but it is linked to your Facebook page. And therefore, and you don't have to let everybody in. This can be a private group that only people that you specify to join can join. And people might not want to join. You might send an invite saying, thank you for booking. Feel free to join our private Facebook group, find out what other people have done whilst they've been there, and ask any questions that you want in that particular group. And then it's up to them whether they join or whether they don't.
So I missed a bit there because my electricity went off, and I was just wondering, how do you set up a group?
So from your Facebook page, let me just go back to this one. So from your Facebook page, you have, it's either under here or under there. It's under there. So under the More tab, you've got a Groups tab. If you've never created a group before, you might see a group option down here. But essentially, you can go through, click on the Groups tab, and you can see we've got create a linked group. So these are groups that I've done just as tests, just to show kind of how it would work. But I would click on create a linked group, and now I would be, so the group itself, I'll just go through to this one, which is hidden because it was just done as a test. So the group gets a cover photograph, it gets to name what the group is, and then it just works in exactly the same way as your Facebook page, but you tend to find it has a much better reach than your Facebook page, and you tend to find it gets a lot more engagement because people are in their own little their own little group, their own little section, and therefore they're more likely to interact with that group than they are with the page itself.
So would that be a group, say, if I have something special happens on the farm, like we've had a cow calve or it's lambing time or something like that, would I post something on there?
You could do. I mean, having so I would. What you don't want to do is kind of repeat content, one on the page and one in here. So I would think about this. You know that this is going to be it's likely to be people that are going to be visiting, and I would put content into here that's going to be useful to them. The cow side actually feels like it's more of a broad interest, and that would go onto the page.
Yeah, so that would go on to just my ordinary Facebook page.
Yeah, absolutely. So you might turn around. So you might turn around and I don't know, do a deal with a local pub who says we're willing to give 5% off of people that you send to us. So you would go to your group rather than your page to make it feel special, and you would say to those people in here, just to let you know that the Black Bull has, which is a mile down the road and does fabulous food, have offered people staying a 5% discount off their food. So I just wanted to give you the heads up if any of you are coming in the next few months. And that feels like that's better than going openly onto the page, where not everybody who likes the page is likely to be coming to the farm or to the holiday park. Right.
So you're trying to make people feel special, right?
Absolutely. That's literally you're trying to make them feel like VIPs by bringing them all together and giving them content that isn't going onto the Facebook page at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thank
could
you.
I just ask a question on that?
Yeah, fire away, Jeff.
So I'm a member of quite a few in the candle sector or home fragrance sector. Actually, there's a bit of competition between some of these groups.
Yeah.
And some of them can get a little bit toxic. And obviously, if I create a group, I will be the admin.
Yes.
You set rules to start with. So is there some standard rules when you're setting it up that, because they always seem to be fairly standard, or do you just have to create your own?
I think most people will probably just go to another group and copy and paste into that. It's sort of the standard rules.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm a big fan of this down here, which is membership questions.
Right.
And what this is when people ask to join the group, you can ask them 3 questions, and often people just answer them without thinking, and then you can decide whether to let them in. So for example, if you're getting, bearing in mind again, it's Facebook and therefore you could be getting requests from anywhere in the world. If you're getting requests from people outside of the UK and you're not going to be shipping outside of the UK, then you probably don't want to let those people in, which sounds harsh, but that's that you want to try and keep it as localized in that instance as possible. So I might have 3 questions that say, where are you located? How have you found out about the group? And what are you hoping to gain from the group? And the question about what are you hoping to gain is a great question, because it gives you an idea as to what content you might want to consider putting in if it fits with what you were going to be doing.
Okay.
But I'd always have even if it's a kind of VIP we're inviting you in group, I'd still have the 3 questions in place. It acts as a bit of a quality filter, should people kind of be coming through. Because it's a private group, it's going to be harder to join. So there are 2 different groups you can set up on your Facebook page. So you can actually set up a what's called a private listed group or a private hidden group. So a private listed group is a group that I would go to your page and I would see that you had a group, but it was a private group. So I could see that it had a group name. I could then request to join. I would fill out these 3 questions and then you would decide. Or you can have a hidden or an unlisted group and nobody knows that exists apart from the people you send the link out to. So that one, I'd probably be less inclined to have a membership question because nobody's found it other than you sending that through. I'd still make sure everybody had to be approved, so there'd be no auto approvals going on at all, because you're the administrator. And as the administrator, if somebody becomes a bit of an idiot, you could just kick them out of the group. And don't kind of give people 1st, 2nd, 3rd chances. If you get somebody toxic, then just get rid. Because what you don't want is you don't want your group feeling like, oh, I don't really want to go into that group anymore because it's too confrontational or whatever it is. And we know we're in an age at the moment where everything is like black or white and there's literally no discussion. Everybody just argues the point to death, whatever it is. So be very careful to letting those kind of things carry on in a group, because people will just stop going in. Kind of getting
the second and final question is really, how much time does it take managing a Facebook group? I know it depends on the members.
Yeah, so it depends on the members. And one of the great things with groups, the ones that I've seen work really well are the ones that, so if you've got 20,000 members, you're screwed, because it's going to be so busy that you're going to spend, I've seen a few kind of buy it, sell it groups where the admins, you look at the admin list and there's now 20 people that are administrators. So I think you've got to be careful of letting too many people into a group, because if you do, then it becomes harder to manage. But I would hope that you had enough people in a group to make it worthwhile, and that the time you then allocated to that you felt was time spent. The problem we've got at the moment with our Facebook pages is generally we feel like we don't get a great deal of interaction, and we feel like we don't get a great deal of value from those pages. And what that does is that means that other things get prioritized in our minds because they're either easier to do or we get more reward from doing them. And this feels like a chore. And it shouldn't be a chore. So it's difficult to say you should spend this amount of time or that amount of time, because it should be whatever's needed. However, if you're only going in once every 2 weeks and posting the odd thing in, the odd thing to the group, then it's never really going to gain any traction. So if it was me setting up a new group and I had 10 people in that group, I'd try to post on a daily basis into that group to begin with and see how it went. And what tends to then happen is the group then starts to take care of itself. So you'll get people asking a question in the group and somebody else will answer it. So it doesn't always have to be you as the administrator if other people know the answer. So you kind of give people the freedom to do that, and then you might go in and say, yeah, Liam's absolutely right. That is the case with that particular one. So you just become the facilitator of conversation rather than, because if you create a group and all you did, Jeff, was go, here's a new candle, here's a new candle, here's a new candle, here's a new candle, everybody'd leave because there's literally no value to that group. If you were to think about how you could talk about your products without it being a sales pitch, that's where your group is of huge value then to those people. That
Okay,
makes
great.
sense.
Thank you.
Okay, so just very quickly, purely because I just want to kind of go through. So this is a one thing I would say about your Facebook page. So there's two things, in fact, I'll say about your Facebook page. Number one is you have about a 10-second window for somebody to land on your Facebook page and make a decision whether to click that like button or not. Because if I don't click your like button, I won't see your content ever again. So it could be somebody has tagged Parkgate Farm in a post, their friends have come through to this page, and now they're making an immediate 10-second decision to go, do I hit like? So if I hit like, I'm usually hitting like because I want some of the content that I see coming through into my newsfeed. That is what like essentially opens up. So if I land on this particular one, I can see it's called Parkgate Farm, base camp for the Lake District. I actually don't mind your avatar, by the way. I think your avatar, so this is kind of your Facebook icon or your avatar, and we'll talk about a couple of others in a second. So it kind of does what it says on the tin. The only thing, there's a couple of things that I might consider adding to this one. So obviously it says RV park, which is because it's all Americanized and all the other stuff that goes with it. So I'd be tempted to add in the facilities. So visually, either do it visually or do it with words, but I would add in glamping and caravans and cottages and whatever else there is, because that gives people more information that land. I'd also put down what this is actually doing. So I might put sharing the best parts of the Lake District with Facebook. And that gives me an idea of the kind of content I might also get from this particular one. If so that would be, I'd be on the home page. So this is what I would get to see. You need me to click the like button. If I don't click the like button, then we've lost. If I then start to scroll down, we've got kind of, if any of our guests would prefer not to cook, and then we've got this kind of Christmas, that's sharing Red Admirals, which is fair enough. And again, this will probably be a shared from Eskdale Taxes. So I quite like that. I think that's kind of the collaboration approach. Then we've got kind of a post about busy planting hedges today. I don't mind that kind of post. That's kind of showing that it's a business. It's showing that there's real people in the business and a few others. Things like this are great, using what 3 words to get to the thing, because you're not only educating people about where you are, you're educating people about an amazing app called What 3 Words that should be used by everybody. And as we go through, there's lots of other stuff down there. So I actually quite like the content on there. I think it's a mixture of other people's content and their own content. As we move across very quickly, So we've got the candle store. So we've got obviously the candles that are in view on that particular one. Again, I don't mind you just about getting away with your avatar. And the reason I say you're just about getting away with it is when we're looking at a page at this size, it's easy to see what it is. However, once people like your page, 99% of those people will not come back to your page ever again. They will interact with your posts in their newsfeed, and that's it. So we've got to make the best first impression so that they like our page, so that we're now got the ability to be in their feed. But then when we're in their feed, the size of our logo is going to be this size down here. So not this one that pops up, but this size down here. And if you think about somebody's feed, so let me just go into my normal feed. So if I go into my normal feed, as I scroll down, then these are the posts that we're talking about. So that's the size your post would be. And I can just see that it says Sarah that particular size. So as I'm scrolling down, they're the things that I'm going to recognize that that's come from that particular page at that particular time. All right.
Why is that important if it's got the name of the business next to it?
Just because, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what is in there as long as it's recognizable. So if it was me, I would, I think you just about get away with it, Jeff, with that, because it just about fits into a circle. The other thing that you could do is drop the Sarah bit and just have this kind of icon, and then that way it just stands out a tiny bit more.
Yeah.
Because I can't, as I say, I can't really see it. Or you change the color of the Sarah to maybe white. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But as we go through some of the others, we will start to see kind of those things on here. Now, have you done anything with Messenger whilst we've been talking or not?
No, I didn't even realize I had that.
so I'm assuming that's auto-generated by Messenger as well, to try and encourage people to talk to the business, and it's likely to be the sort of questions they're getting for other candle stores. How much do your products cost? Seems reasonable. Can I check if an item's available? Seems reasonable. What's popular right now? Seems a bit of a weird question. Can you recommend something for me? Possibly is fairly reasonable as well. So yeah, so I'd certainly be having a look and maybe changing a couple of those ones.
Well, yeah.
But visually, I would say that's okay. The professional help one, then so a couple of things with this one, and I know that you said you were getting rebranding done. I think you mentioned the cover photograph. When you introduced yourself, you kind of listed quite a few different things. So I would absolutely carry in words some of the services that you're providing around kind of what it is that you're doing and what you're supporting. And then obviously this is the first example where this size of logo kind of inside a circle is practically invisible.
We're changing that completely, so it's going to be a completely different look to that. So it's just going to be an icon, really.
Absolutely, that's kind of where everybody's moved towards, is have a recognizable icon. Don't try and crowbar your logo into that part. It can go up here. It could be a part of this if you wanted it to be part of this, but certainly listing your services and maybe again what people could expect from the Facebook page. So are you likely to be sharing hints and tips around mental well-being? Are you likely to be sharing sort of information to help people find the right stuff? I don't know, but that's kind of, you kind of need to give people guidance to go, what should I hit like for? Because the name professional help doesn't, it's kind of a bit open-ended. So some people may interpret that differently at that point.
So would you put the things we do in the banner and all? would that make it too busy though? You need to-
Yeah, so it depends on, if you've got like 74 services, then you're just going to have to go with kind of maybe the top ones. But
Yeah.
what you can do with the banner is you can change the banner as often as you want to change it.
Yeah.
So this was last changed by the look, or certainly this particular one. Yeah, so those two banners have been up since September the 30th, 2015.
Mm.
So you could have different banners that you use to design, and then you could upload a different one every quarter. So
Yeah, we're having ones done for like all the services. We're having
Yeah.
ones created for individual ones, and then we're going to have like a main one.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, so something like that's going to help, and then you can make sure that you're kind of switching those out on a fairly regular basis as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of content wise, so certainly working on National Awareness Weeks is always kind of topical and is always good. I would suggest it's probably, you tend to find it'll work a little bit better on something like Twitter or Instagram, where they seem to be a lot more on kind of trending topics on that point. And really what you're looking out for with your content is you're looking out for this. So if we're posting and getting very little engagement, then the problem with that is that means it's not reaching many people. And it means that people are not compelled enough by the content to engage with the content. So something you've got to all think about as businesses is, how can we create content that's trying to create engagement? It's one of the reasons why you see some crappy content coming through into your normal news feeds when you're on Facebook. So you see stupid stuff that's showing up, and it's showing up because it's monstrously popular and people are engaging with it. And ultimately, Facebook's job from an individual point of view is to try and keep that individual on Facebook for as long as possible. And therefore, if Facebook is putting our business content that isn't getting engagement into people's feeds, people are going to stop coming back to Facebook because they won't be getting that dopamine kick of engaging with content that's on there.
Have you got any tips on engaging content?
To be honest, this is why I lean more towards the group side with business pages, because I think unless you are in certain sectors, you've either got to do really crappy posts that as a business you're not kind of happy with doing, or you've got to try and do posts that maybe ask questions so that people have to give answers. But I think organically on Facebook it is incredibly difficult unless you go down the groups road, or unless you pay. But you wouldn't, even something like this, you wouldn't want to sponsor this post now. So this post went up, it's only 24 hours, so maybe it's got a bit longer to go. But this post went up 24 hours ago. Not that you would sponsor this post, but in terms of which post would you sponsor? Well, you've already got social proof that only 3 people have liked this post. So if we were to boost that, that's not really going to do much, because we've already got evidence that says, as much as we might care about this, nobody else appears to be caring about it. So you've just got to figure out ways of what does your audience appear to engage with, and then try and do some of those. So it could be doing different styles of posts. So you could try things like, as a professional help organization, I'm assuming some of the help people get, will it be talking to you and your colleagues? Is that kind of how it works?
It will be talking to a team of counsellors, yeah. Okay.
So it could be that you get some of those teams of counsellors to do videos that are talking about certain things. And then that becomes more engageable content, because they could be talking to the person that's feeling the way that they're feeling at that point. And that might be, so you could, that, because it's a video, it's going to get kind of higher priority from Google, from Facebook, not Google. So it get a higher priority from Facebook because it's a video, and therefore because it's a video, people might watch it. It could ask a couple of questions in the video, encourage people to comment, and then see whether that works for the audience that you've got at the moment.
Okay.
Okay, so very quickly along everybody else's. So so this has a lot more detail on. It's obviously got the contact details on there as well. Again, we've got the everything being used within the avatar, which once it's down at that size is more difficult to see. I think I'd be more tempted to do something with these kind of icons. So it might be that I just use those 3 icons as my profile picture or my avatar down there. We've got 4 reviews. So again, we want to try and push people to go with those reviews. And then when we start to scroll down, the only thing that would worry me is, and I know this looks like it's a shared post anyway, but we've got no likes on that one. We've got no likes on that one. We've got no likes on that one. We've got 1 like on that one. So what we don't want to do is spend loads and loads of time and effort and get very little reward by doing that. I actually don't mind some of the styles of posts that are on here. They're at least kind of visually kind of appealing. The only thing I would say is, and I'm guessing that a lot of this is kind of a bit more salesy. It's kind of saying these are some properties you might be interested in, and that's where people it might be about thinking, okay, what questions do we get asked on a regular basis, and create content out of those questions. Because if somebody's asked that question, then you can guess somebody else would be thinking about that question at some point. So often what we will do is to try and come up with those ideas. Let me have a think about, I'll come back to that one in a second. So I don't know, let's go to Google and let's type in handmade jewelry. Not that I can spell jewelry. Okay, so we've got a couple of things. We've got jewelry by location. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to figure out how are people going to Google, what are they doing? Then I'm trying to figure out what else could they be asking about. So if I click on UK, we get the results, and what we should see, this as it's a product, so we might not see it as much, but you get kind of these related searches. So then I might think about different content around this one, and then if I ask a question, how is handmade jewelry made? Okay, we've also got this box here. So what's the process? What's considered? Is it expensive? And if I click into one of these, and I'm not really bothered about the answer, what I'm bothered about is that's added some more questions. So every time we expand this box, we actually get a couple of extra questions added down here. And answering questions as part of content is probably the easiest way to produce content, because you know somebody out there is interested in the answer, because they wouldn't be going to Google and asking those questions. So even though it's Google and not Facebook, that's what I would do. Obviously from this point of view, then we've got a cover photograph that needs to be added. The icon, actually, I don't mind, because you can see again, it stands out down here, and then having to think about what this is trying to do. I think this one, because of what you're trying to do, might lend itself as well to having groups in there. So that might be something to consider. Then we've got all day bags. So Barbara, for yours, the only thing I would suggest is, and it's why I asked the question, it's not immediately obvious that you make these.
All right.
And this is one of these things, when it's yours and you know it, you go, well, it's obvious. It's got, like, I've put tape on there to say it's going to be measured to to fit, but I'm a good base of testing out on idiots, and therefore I would look at that and go, yes, you sell bags, but I had to ask the question, did you sell? Were you kind of bringing them in and selling them on? And I think there is huge value in the fact that they're handmade, and therefore I would be doing something up here that really called out the fact that everything is individual, everything is kind of sort of individual or individualized to each person that buys from you, etc. So I just think a little bit more messaging around that. I don't mind the avatar being you, that's fine. There's, again, it's a real person, and when that shows up in somebody's feed, then it's recognizable as a real person. So no problems with that one. Reviews wise, again, want to work on reviews. So you've got one review at the moment.
I don't know where that came from, and I don't quite know how you link it up with getting people to leave them on your Facebook page.
So this was from, on your tabs, you've got a reviews tab. So this was from Cheryl Hutchinson.
Yeah, it's ages ago.
A long time ago. So again, similar to the other one, this is the URL. So this is the address that you could give people that I've highlighted there.
Ah, right, yeah.
So if somebody has bought a bag and you've sent it out, send a card with the bag that says, we'd love you to leave a review on Facebook for us.
Yeah, I do send a card because I write on it, handmade by Barbara for, and I put the person's name on it.
Yeah.
But when I get the cards reprinted, I could put it on the back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it just, because the problem you've got is, I'm guessing, and I'm being a bit pedantic here. I'm guessing you have more than one order every 2 years.
Oh yes.
So, we've got clients where we've got a hamper client, and they do, at this time of year, they'll be doing probably 6,000 hampers a day.
Yeah.
And if you go to their Facebook page, they've got 30 reviews. And we say, and we've said to them, look, I need to go to your page and see that you've got 4,000 reviews, because otherwise, if I came across you only on Facebook, or if I'd found you somewhere else and I went to Facebook as validation to say, I'm gonna buy from your business, but then it's only got one review, does that change my mind when I've found somebody else that does a similar thing, but they've got 54 reviews?
Yeah.
And we are influenced by those numbers. We just are.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's unfortunate. So I would work hard on those reviews, and I would just tweak the thing to say that these are absolutely bespoke and handmade at that point.
Yeah. Thank you.
As we go down, we start to see a few bits of content. So again,
I've been doing this NHS fundraiser. So I've been reposting on what I've been posting on the fundraiser. So there's more sales ones than I would not do normally, but I've tried to vary it a bit.
I think the only thing that I would say from a obviously I'd have to go back through quite a bit of content, but the one thing I think might be worthwhile thinking about is maybe trying to get across some of your process. So almost kind of a before and after. So starting off with a bit of fabric in picture one, middle picture halfway through, final picture completed bag. And suddenly what we've all got to get better at doing is storytelling our services or products. So otherwise your product is almost the same as somebody else that's doing it. Whereas if you get your process across, then you start to see the difference between buying this one and buying that one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. So that's that one. Oops. Wish everything had stopped popping up every time I click through. So, and again, Hairbeck holidays. So again, I think you've got an opportunity to say what it is that you have as services within the pictures that you're kind of uploading. This was uploaded in 2020, which is good. It looks like that's the only one that's been uploaded at that point. In terms of the avatar, I'd have a think about that one. I think it's quite kind of, I would say, transparent in terms of it doesn't stand out too much when it shows up down here. So I'd have a think about what I might be able to do with the avatar at that point. You've obviously got some amazing views, so therefore I would be possibly changing my cover photograph on a fairly regular basis. In terms of, I've mentioned about putting words on top of images. You may all be familiar with this. None of you may be familiar with this. Half of you may be familiar with this. But we've got a website called Canva.com that you may have come across. And it's just the easiest one to do. So if I was going through to this one, if I steal your image just for a second, so let's just save that to, oh, I've saved it to a really weird place, but never mind. But if I take that and click on social media, and then if I go through to Facebook cover, and then if I upload, when it eventually loads up, so if I upload that particular picture, which was that one. So if I upload that picture, bring that across, resize that picture, and then what that allows me to do is I can bring text across. So I could either go with some of this text down here, some of it's free, some of it isn't, or I could just bring across a heading, move that around, put it centrally, change the size, maybe change the font, and then put I didn't type anything out, did I? So that was an idiot. And then you could put in 5 glamping tents. So you get the idea. And then what you can do is you can download that. When you download that, it downloads with all of the text already on the image. So when I've been mentioning adding text to the image, it's not, you can't do that on Facebook. You can only upload the finished version, and then oops, that's up on a different page, but then the finished version would look something, you can see it says add a heading in the middle. So but that's the idea.
Is that on Canva, did you say?
It is. So that's creating it on canva.com and then downloading it once you're happy with what you've produced at that point. And ultimately, what will then start to happen is, as you keep doing it, it gets easier the more that you use it, and it saves your designs as well. So you'll see kind of the test ones that we've done previously to create those designs. So it's really good, doesn't cost anything to use, well worth kind of working on that one. Okay, so that's kind of your the final thing I wanted to show you, because I'm just conscious of time as well. And this is just so that you can see. So bearing in mind, I've logged into Facebook. So what I'm now going to do, so this is looking at Facebook from a user perspective. So number one is the stories. So Facebook stories that you would want to do on your mobile device because it's easier to create from your mobile. But Facebook stories last for 24 hours. So one of the reasons they are reasonably popular, they're much more popular on Instagram, but one of the reasons that they're popular is because people know that if they don't click into these stories, there's a chance that it could be gone tomorrow. So therefore, if they see stories, they'll click on this. And what's interesting, especially on Facebook, is that's a Facebook page, that's a Facebook page, that's a Facebook page, and that's a Facebook person. So in terms of the priority, Facebook has decided to show the stories to me. We've actually got 3 Facebook pages right at the front, which never, ever, ever, ever happens on any other form of content on Facebook. So how do we get more how do we get more people to see what we're doing? How do we get more, how do we get kind of more interactions? Facebook stories all day long. And I would be creating a Facebook story, ideally once a day or once every couple of days. And they give you the ability. So when you add a story, you have the ability to add an image or a video. And then on top of that image or video, there's loads of different editing tools that go with the story. So you can bring in the outside temperature, you can bring in a location, you can tag people, you can do hashtags, you can do animated GIFs to go with whatever the story is. There are lots and lots of different things that we can do. So with regards to this one, if I click into this particular story, so there are 3 parts to this story. So this is just animated within. Then we've got this one, and then we've got one more to come. So you can see it's counting up at the top. And then you've got them asking what's your favorite tradition. And what's likely to happen is that story. So let me just go back one. So that story was 20 hours ago. And what's likely to happen is they will keep adding to that story today, because they will answer this question: what's your favorite Christmas thing? Within the story itself, I can comment, I can interact with it from a reaction point of view and do whatever I want to do with it. But what's absolutely key here is the fact that I'm seeing page content, because if I now go down my normal feed, that's a family member, that's an advert, then I've got a friend, then I've got a so that is, I think that's a business page. I've got no idea why I've liked that business page. That's the first time I've seen anything from them ever. So that kind of shows that's probably Facebook throwing in a curveball to see if I'm interested. Then we've got a suggested for you. So that's nothing to do with anybody that I'm following. Then we've got a page where I go to that page on a very regular basis. Then we've got an advert. Then we've got another page, but this is one that is just it's more of a comedy page, and you can see it's got 3,500 people reacting to it, 482 comments, 163 shares. So that is saying to Facebook, even though it's a massive brand, that's saying to Facebook, this is popular, and it knows I've clicked on that page in the past. Then I've got a group post, so it showed you the importance of groups, so that's quite high up. Then we've got a friend, then we've got a group, then we've got an advert, then we've got suggested, then we've got a friend, then we've got a group, then we've got a friend, then we've got an advert, then we've got well, not a friend, but obviously it's I'm assuming that will be classed as a Facebook page on that one. Then we've got a friend, then we've got suggested, then we've got a friend. So what I'm trying to show is, apart from 2 massive accounts, there was only one post from what I would class as a normal Facebook page out of about 20 different ones. So it shows you how Facebook prioritizes content, and to get around that prioritization of content, you've either got to be creating the most magical posts that everybody wants to engage with them, paying for your posts to reach more people, or doing stories, which gets you to in front of people easier, or thinking about groups as a way forward, because we saw 2 or 3 posts from Facebook groups in that first 20 part of the content. So that's been a whistle-stop tour. It's hopefully given you some ideas as to little tweaks that you can make to your Facebook pages. Definitely having a think about those automated responses on Messenger, because they will just help to be from a customer service point of view. A little bit of idea around content. Content's difficult because you're all different, but it's about either telling your story or playing. If you're visual, then go with visual. So if I'm a holiday park with amazing views, I'm taking a picture every day of the amazing views and I'm putting something on, because people just like those pictures. They like sunsets, they like sunrises. Go out every morning and take a picture and upload it that way to try and kind of gain attraction there. So my time is at an end, only for this session, not in kind of life, hopefully. So I will pass back and say thank you. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask for my email and send me those through, or find me on any of the social media platforms and ask me that way as well. Always happy to answer questions after these sessions.